A lotus is a flower rooted in the mud that rises through and above to become a beautiful bloom. This is a podcast sharing mine and other stories of how we've done the same, choosing to rise above our circumstances to bloom. I'm your host, Amber. Let's get started. So I'm here with my friend, Nick.
Hello.
Hello. Actually, I'm friends with your wife, but I feel like, I don't know, even though we've only talked a handful of times, I feel like we've always just clicked really well.
Of course. Easy. Yeah. And my wife loves you, which means I love you. So.
It's so funny because like she and I had been in the same area certain times, just in the same circle with the coaching groups that we're in. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to get to know her. And so finally, I think it was like the Moab Walk Queens Retreat. Mm-hmm. And I just walked up to her and I was like, Haleigh. And she was like, yeah. I'm like, I decided we need to be friends. And she's like, okay.
She's told me this story. It actually meant a lot to her.
Oh, I love that.
It did. She's, like I said, I mean that very much. If anybody that my wife cares about is, and I care about.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. What I love too is that you have a podcast and we've actually cross-interviewed some of the same people.
Have we?
Yeah. I think so. So if you don't mind, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your podcast and to share your story of just like where you're from, what your life's been like. And
yeah, I'll let you drive. You tell me how much of this and where you want to go. But my podcast is the Naked Patient podcast. Started it just over 2 years ago. Oh. We just hit 100 episodes a few weeks ago.
Dude, that's so crazy. Yeah. That's awesome.
And when it started, it was what I thought would be a way for patients. So I'm a plastic surgeon and draper here in Utah. Mm-hmm. I thought it would be a way for patients to come and share the emotional side of plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't want to create one of these medical podcasts that are everywhere talking about, you know, this is what a tummy tuck is, and this is how you recover from a tummy tuck. And like, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
I wanted, because I hadn't seen, and I still don't know that I have seen something similar to mine, where it's patients coming and sharing like, this is what I had done, and yes, it changed my life, or no, it didn't change my life. Mm-hmm. And here's a lot of the emotion behind it. And I quickly realized that what I was really asking people to do is just come share their story like you're asking.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a lot of power in sharing your story, both in the ways that it can help others and in the ways that it can just help you by getting it out.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's actually how mine was similar. It started out as me just wanting to share my story and then realizing really quickly as I shared my story how many people I could relate to. And I thought that it was important for other people to get theirs out too. Yeah. I just think it helps people know like, you're not alone. This is more common than you think it is. And in that way of relating to each other, it's encouraging of like, oh shit, they like made it through this. Yeah. That gives me hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my story, where do you want to go? I grew up here in Utah, just up the road in Murray. Nice. Go Murray Spartans. I had a little 10-year hiatus in Texas for medical school and residency training. Have been back here since 2017 as a practicing plastic surgeon with Premier Plastic Surgery, and have been growing my own practice within the group, which is Howland Plastic Surgery. Ever since then, I do mostly cosmetic surgery with a particular focus on massive weight loss patients. So people who've lost 50 plus pounds. Mm-hmm. And then I also do a couple smaller niche things that not a lot of people do. And one of them is migraine surgery and everything else.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I feel like sometimes I'll be watching your Instagram and there's like a new thing that you're doing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, that's cool. All these new things. But so the way that I know you is through Watt. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that you've actually known Jimmy for quite some time.
Yeah. Jimmy Rex and I have been buddies since 6th grade.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that long. I thought you were going to be like, in our 20s or something.
Nope. 6th grade. So wild. He was a new kid that moved into Murray from Taylorsville. and came and sat at the lunch counter, and we bonded right away.
Oh, that's so cool. So you guys stayed friends all through junior high and high school?
We did. We definitely had our, ins and outs with each other, like most friendships do.
Yeah.
But he has been one of my very best friends since I was a kid. Absolutely.
That's so awesome. What made you choose, this is super random, but what made you choose Texas for your schooling?
So at the time I was married, and my wife at the time had family in Texas.
Okay.
And so when we were applying to different medical schools, she really wanted one of the potential options to be Texas.
Okay.
Which is interesting because Texas has its own application system. A lot of people, if you're not a resident of Texas, don't even apply to Texas medical schools because you have to go through their application system. It's more money. It's a whole set of different pain in the ass than everywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
Because we're Texas. And it ended up being one of the biggest blessings of my life because we went and interviewed at UTMB, which is University of Texas Medical Branch, and they did what's called early acceptance. So they'll take a group of applicants, and most people find out whether they're going to medical school or not in February, March. Mm-hmm. Well, I got an early acceptance letter in October, months before.
Nice.
And so I had applied to 50 plus medical schools, and I was able to save a lot of money when offers to go interview would come in, and I would just look at it and say, well, I probably wouldn't go there over UTMB, so I'm not even going to waste the money traveling out there and doing an interview.
Yeah.
And so when it came down to it, I interviewed at two places. I interviewed at UTMB and I interviewed at University of Utah. Hated my interview at University of Utah and did not get in anyways.
You're like, well, win-win for both of us.
And so UTMB it was. And I met my mentor down there. Her name's Linda Phillips. She's a fabulously successful leader in plastic surgery. And that's where I fell in love with plastic surgery and went into that field.
So originally it was just medical school. You didn't plan on going into plastic surgery.
Yeah, I kind of like surgery was high on my list.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what kind of surgery.
Okay.
My wife had an uncle and a cousin who were surgeons. One was an orthopedic surgeon, and one was a bariatric surgeon. He did gastric bypasses for people. And I followed both of them around. And after a couple of days with both of them, I was bored out of my mind. I was like the orthopod guys, like all he did was knees all day long. I was like, God, this is the worst thing in the world. And then the same with the bariatric guy. He just did
it's just the same thing over and over.
Gastric bypass. Like, this is the same surgery every day, over and over. I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
And plastic surgery just became the first field that I found where everything was totally unique. Mm-hmm. Even if it's the same surgery. Like if I'm doing 5 breast augmentations in a day, each one is so completely different from the other that it kind of keeps my attention.
Still feels like, a different thing. This is going to be kind of weird. And you've probably had this question before, but
shoot.
How much like surgery is, how much is there truth to Grey's Anatomy?
So none of the TV shows do a very good job of showing actual medical things in the field. The one that's the absolute closest is Scrubs.
Really?
100%.
That's hilarious.
100%.
That the comedy is the closest one.
The comedy is it, and it's just, I think the writers of Scrubs just nailed the emotion, the human interaction. It's yes, it's serious, but also healthcare is so serious that you have to be able to joke around and not make it so serious, or else your mind would break.
Yeah, for real. I used to work in, used to work for HCA, and I worked in imaging. And I remember, I've always had an interest in the medical field. And I remember being obsessed with House. And then when I started scheduling imaging and having to go shadow MRI and all the radiology techs and everything, then I'd watch that show and I'd be like, you would never order that scan for that diagnosis. So I can imagine on the surgical end of things, it's probably similar where you're like,
Well, the surgery stuff is crazy. Right? You'll watch shows and nobody's got a face mask on and nobody's following sterile technique. And you're just like, oh, this is
chaos.
Whatever.
Okay. So if you don't mind just like rewinding a little bit. So you grew up in Utah, met your wife. I just want to kind of go a little bit more in depth of just like your personal life story, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I grew up LDS. I served an LDS mission from 01 to 03.
Oh, nice.
I was in St. Petersburg, Russia.
Oh, wow. Do you still remember any Russian?
Duh.
Nice.
So I still am fairly fluent in Russian if I need to be. I came home in 2003 with big plans to go straight to University of Utah and start pre-med. And like, I knew medical school is what I want to do for a long, long time.
That's so cool.
And I remember coming home and telling my friends, like, I am not going to do what all these guys do coming home from mission and get married right away. I was married within 1 year.
At least it wasn't 3 months. I mean, you still stuck to
at least it wasn't 3 months, but I met an amazing girl who grew up in Alaska, and she was at UVU. I got set up on a blind date from Jimmy Rex, actually.
That's funny.
And we got married in 2004, and we had our first baby, our first child, Isabel, in 2007.
Okay.
Which was kind of a long road to get to Isabel.
Okay.
So when I got married, I went through my first excommunication with the LDS Church.
Oh, wow.
Don't test drive your marriage before getting married.
I've heard a lot of people do that, actually.
And so I went through all of the steps of, it's funny because I share this story on my own podcast a lot. And I was very much still somebody who believed strongly in the teachings of the LDS faith. Mm-hmm. I considered myself a very good missionary. And when I went through that, it was one of the hardest things in my life.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did is went straight to Deseret Book. And I was like, okay, there's got to be a book here, guidebook or something to tell me how to go through an excommunication and how to get back to the church. And there was nothing.
That's so interesting.
And I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. This is my life purpose. I'm supposed to write a book on how to come back from excommunication. This is it. This is why the Lord's putting me through this challenge. And somewhere I still have notes on this on this book, but I went through all the steps, got rebaptized by my father-in-law at the time. And when we got married, my wife suffered from really bad endometriosis. Mm. And we didn't know if we were going to be able to get pregnant.
Okay.
And so we had a doctor who was like, hey, if you guys want kids in the next 10 years, you got to start doing this, and this, all the things.
Yeah.
And so I got tested. Things were fine. She had a laparoscopy done to clear out some endometriosis. And then they put her on Lupron, which is a medication that kind of induces, it's basically medically induced menopause.
Okay.
It's almost like restarting your uterus at the time. And so they put her on Lupron for a while and then Clomid to help stimulate ovulation and nothing.
Really?
And we had, after 3 years of going through this, we had finally just resigned ourselves to the fact that, well, we probably just are going to adopt when the time is right. And this is our life.
Yeah.
And at the time we were looking for a new car because we had a little SUV, a Nissan Rogue that had been totaled in a car accident. And I was like, well, if we're not going to have kids, we might as well get this cute little sporty Acura. And so we go and buy this little sporty Acura, and the next day she's pregnant.
You know what's so funny about that is I feel like as soon as you resign to the fact of like, this probably isn't going to happen is when it happens. And I know that sounds so cliche, but for Ben and me, we actually had some fertility issues as well. For us, it was 1.5 years and 3 cycles of Clomid. And I was just like, I had put everything on hold as far as I had my associates and I was waiting to go back to school to be a surgery tech. And I was like, you know what? This isn't going to happen. Like, I'm just going to go for it. And so I told Ben, I'm like, program starts this September. I'm applying. I'm moving back to Utah in August. They had added one more prereq that I could we lived in Portland at the time.
Okay.
And we were there for Ben's work and we'd kept our house here because we always planned on coming back. And so I was like, I'm just going to move back to the house and we're going to have to make long distance work. And they added the prereq. I took it online. And literally halfway through the semester, we had one more cycle of Clomid left before we had to go to the next level. And it worked. And it was just literally like me giving up of like, this isn't going to happen. I'm moving on with my life.
Yeah, I think once you take a lot of the stress out, it happens for a lot of people. Not everybody, but for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I had a brand new baby right at the start of medical school.
Man.
4 years later, we had a brand new baby right at the start of residency training. Both really good decisions.
Let's add the next level of craziness to this.
And so we were in Texas for I was there for 10 years. We got divorced with about 2 years of residency left.
Oh wow.
Residency's hard.
It is.
It's just
yeah.
And one of the hardest things for us, and both of us have our side of this story, and then there's her side, there's my side, and there's, what was in between.
Yeah.
And for me, I only ever really tell and own what my side is. And I think one of the hardest things in residency is inconsistency. And your spouse knows you're going to be gone 100+ hours a week.
Yeah.
But the problem is where we would get in a lot of arguments is, it'd be 5:00 on a Wednesday and I would call and be like, hey, just wrapped up my day. I'm on my way. She's like, great. Kids have been crazy. Can't wait to get you home. And then some jackass walks into the ER because he cut his hand off and I'm stuck for the next 8 hours.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice.
Ugh.
And we had this saying that both of us hated. And it was, it's not that you don't come first. It's that sometimes medicine has to come first. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of families.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And a lot of marriages.
Yeah.
And
especially with 2 little kids.
Like right now with Haleigh, like she knew what she was getting herself into.
Yeah.
And we don't have to deal with little kids. And if we have last minute changes to plans or cancellations or something from a patient emergency standpoint, it's just like, yeah, of course. Again, like she knew that coming in. It comes with the territory. And I'm not, saying that my ex-wife Hillary did not get that. It just was, I think, harder than either of us imagined.
Yeah.
And so we got divorced and I spent the last 2 years of residency in Texas. She moved here with our kids. And so for 2 years I would fly out to Utah on a Friday. Like once a month I would fly out on a Friday night, see the kids on Saturday, and then fly back to Texas on Sunday.
Sheesh. And then still have to do residency stuff on
and
top
keep
of
working.
Yowza. That's so wild. So your kids were how old when you got divorced?
So at the time, my son would have been 3 and Isabel would have been 7 and 8.
Okay. Have you talked to them about like what their memory is like of them moving back to Utah and you visiting and having to go through? I mean, I feel like a divorce is hard enough on kids, but then also having dad be long distance.
Yeah. Haleigh and I just had the opportunity to take both kids back to Houston.
Oh, wow.
They hadn't been since I graduated. And Rockwell thought he was going to remember stuff, and he really kind of didn't. He was little. He was 3.
Yeah.
No, not a chance.
Yeah.
But for Isabel, it was a really cool trip. Like we got to go back and see the old house, see her old school, some of her old favorite restaurants and foods, and she remembers Texas very, very fondly.
Yeah.
And that period of time for her was extremely difficult.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And I'm sure it was difficult for Rockwell too, but he was young enough that I don't think he really knew any better.
Yeah. I feel like when you're 3, your world is just this little bubble. Whereas when you're 7, 8, 9, 10, you start kind of realizing more what's going on.
And we'll unpack those traumas with both of them as we continue life.
Yeah.
I remember though my residency speech when I graduated. Every time I would come and visit the kids, I would be going back to Houston on Sunday. My kids would always ask me, "How many more trips, Dad?" And when I graduated, that was part of my speech. Is I got to look my kids in the eye and I got to tell them no more trips.
Oh, I love that. That would be. I feel like that would be heartbreaking. Like I just can't imagine having to tell your kids 52 more trips, 50 more trips. But then finally being able to tell them 0.
Yeah. Oh. And what you have to understand too, this is not I'm very careful to tell the story that this was not like a choice that was unilaterally made by my ex-wife to move my kids away from me out of the state of Texas. Like we made this decision together.
Yeah.
And it was a hard choice, but it was, I think, the right choice for her, the right choice for the kids. And I think it was what we needed to do. Did she have a better support system here, her family being here and everything? Yes.
Yeah. Was your divorce like amicable? Was it just like, hey, this isn't working out, here's what we need to do? Or do you feel like it had its ugly stages?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
How did you guys...
It's taken a long time to get to where we are at now, which is a very good co-parenting phase where we communicate very well. We respect each other for the role that we each play in our kids' lives. And we try to make the best choices that we can for the kids.
Yeah. It's super, super refreshing when people say that, even if it takes time to get to that point, when parents can realize like our relationships with our kids, like it has nothing to do with each other. Or our relationship with each other has nothing to do with our kids, and we shouldn't be involving them in that. It just breaks my heart when parents use their kids as ammo against each other.
I get it, you know, and I'm not saying that I've never done it.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and it's tough too, because it takes both sides. Like this is not something that like, way to go, Nick. Like you really figured this thing out. Like I couldn't have figured it out if I didn't have a former spouse who was also willing to like figure it out.
Yeah. Cause you can only go so far with one side
100%.
paddling. Yeah.
100%. And I've put her through hell post-divorce. Like I've brought 2 really not great relationships into my kids' lives. And the effect that that's had on my kids, and then subsequently her having to like pick up those pieces from failed relationships is hard. Yeah. And I'm very grateful that she is the kind of woman that she is to my kids and as a mom, and it works because of both of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is she still active in the church?
Yes and no. So she's been remarried now for 5+ years. And he is inactive.
Okay.
She will go here and there though. Yeah. And both of us really encourage our kids to kind of figure out what they want. Like my son loves going to Young Men's stuff because he has friends in Young Men's. Every now and then my daughter will go to a Young Women's thing because she'll have some friends in Young Women's, and I'm fine with that. Like that's, I don't So around the time of my divorce, I went through my second
I
excommunication.
was going to ask about that.
It's a special club. And at that point, I was definitely done with the religion. But I very much am grateful for the role that Mormonism was in my life and for me, and will always consider myself Mormon just from a cultural standpoint.
Yeah.
That's how I was raised.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely like advocate and want my kids to find what they love and believe. And if that's community there, I will support it 100%.
I love that you have that openness. I think that having that openness of like, it could be this, it could be that, it could be pieces of this, it could be pieces of other things, like you get to decide. I think that just is a level of maturity that you're passing on to your kids. And security of like, I guess self-awareness or security in themselves to be like, I really can choose what I want and not pressure.
I hope so. Like I let them know what I believe, you know, and I tell them like, hey, listen, I want you to own and find what your truth is and what you believe.
I love that.
And if it's there, that's great. I'd like if my son came to me tomorrow, I was like, Dad, I really want to serve an LDS mission. I'm like, done. Yeah. Dude, I'll pay for every penny of it.
Yeah.
You're going to spend 2 years serving other people. Awesome.
It's so cool. Well, and I think especially I have somewhat of a similar background as far as religion goes and similar outlook. I was raised Jehovah's Witness.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, a little intense. But it's very, very similar to the LDS religion. But I feel like it served such a huge purpose in my life. I don't regret any bit of me being a Jehovah's Witness.
We gone back and celebrated all the missed birthdays?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. My husband he teases me a little bit because I'm like a little kid when it comes to holidays. Like, this is only like my 14th Christmas. Are you kidding me? I'm a teenager right now. But I realized my favorite holiday, because I love all of them, but really my favorite holiday is other people's birthdays because I love being able to celebrate. And I love the idea of like finding a gift that's super thoughtful for that person to let them know like, oh, it's not just here's a nail file and some toothpaste. You know what I mean? I know you like to brush your teeth.
Perfect.
Yeah. But I love just the thoughtfulness that goes into certain gifts, big or small. But yeah, it's been interesting, and it's funny because people will be like, oh, remember this movie when we were kids? And I'm like, what year did it come out? And what was it rated? Because I probably didn't see it.
Actually.
Yeah. Didn't see that one. But yeah, I've gone through phases of being really upset with the religion and how could you? But overall, I think it's just been this arc of, you know what, it taught me this. It protected me from this, especially I was raised by my grandparents, by my grandmas, and because my parents are drug addicts. And so I've seen my younger sisters who grew up with our parents and how tumultuous their lives have been. And the fact that I had that protection of like, man, if I would have turned out almost probably exactly the same way or been in the same crowd. And it was just such a protection and taught me so many things that like, I'm super grateful for that time in my life.
Yeah. I went through my angry phase with it all. Whether it's divorce or LDS church or anything really. And I think at the end of the day, you have to come back to a place of gratitude for all of it. Or else it's just going to be something that just sticks and festers in your life.
Yeah. It just creates this misery for yourself. And you're the one choosing that.
Yeah.
Like that sounds kind of harsh. I think some people would probably think that's harsh, but if you think that it's harsh, you're probably not in a place to see the gifts of it all yet.
For sure.
But it just goes back to the whole like happening for me versus happening to me.
Yeah. You're choosing to be a victim in it rather than actually just finding out what was good in it.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask you, as far as like deciding you were done with the religion, what was that process like? Was there something that was like a tipping point for you, or?
Yeah, it was a lot of self-discovery. I remember even after the second excommunication, I went back to church the next Sunday. And I sat down next to a family that we had been friends with for years. And either the husband or wife leaned over next to each other and they whispered something, and then the family got up and moved.
Oh my gosh.
And which is
they're doing what they believe.
which is fine, you know. Yep. But it was really hurtful at the time to me. And I couldn't sit there for a minute longer. And so I went out to my car and I think I sobbed for about an hour.
Yeah.
And that was the moment for me that I just said, I'm done with this.
Can't do it.
But I also did not want to be the person who got offended by somebody and decided to leave church. Like I, served a mission for 2 years and talked to people like that every day.
Yeah.
And tried to convince them that, the gospel's true, but the people are still people.
Yeah.
And so I really had to start discovering and relearning what I believed and what I didn't believe. And I went through some phases. Like I went through a pretty full-blown atheist phase at one point where I was just, God is not real, nothing exists, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And in the last 2 to 3 years, I think I've really come into a place that I'm comfortable with, which is more agnostic than anything else.
I would agree with you. Yeah.
And I absolutely believe in some sort of higher power. And I pray every single day. My prayers, though, are really just what I consider an expression of gratitude.
Yeah.
Rather than an actual supplication to a higher being.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I'm happy.
It's funny that you say that. The way that you phrase that actually just made me realize, because you were like, and I pray every day. I'm like, oh, I don't do that. But then I think about, I feel like I put things into the universe, I guess is the best way that I could say to describe it. And that could be considered a type of prayer, I guess, of just, it's not the Dear Heavenly Father, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's the format, to whom it may concern. Here's my letter, lovingly, Amber Melton, or Thompson. Melton is my maid.
Sorry, Ben.
I forgot who I was for a second. Sorry about that.
Well, I had an experience with a patient that really was pretty powerful for me. We were getting ready to do a mommy makeover procedure for this patient. And as I came into, so I come in and before we start the operation, I mark you, and then we walk you back, put you to sleep, and do the surgery. And as I'm marking her, she looked at me and she says, Dr. Howland, I've got to ask you a question. And I said, okay. And she says, I need to know if you pray. And the way she asked this question, I knew this was a pivotal
Big
moment for her. Like this was, if I said no, I think she would have walked out.
Yeah.
And I also pride myself on honesty with my patients. And I sat with it for a second and I looked at her and I said, I absolutely do. And I said, let me explain. When even after going through this like atheist phase, when I was operating, I would still find myself at the sink scrubbing into a surgery case, and in my mind, I'm still saying the exact same thing, which is guide my hands today. Help me do the very best job possible for this patient. And there were moments when I was like, who the fuck am I talking to? And when you don't believe in anything, that's a hard justification to make in your mind.
Yeah.
And now, this place that I'm at now, I love it because it can be God, it can be Muhammad, it can be Heavenly Mother, it can be just my higher self, it can be anything, but it's a prayer that I still offer up every single surgery I do.
I love that. I think that's so cool. I remember when I was a witness, we used to call praying meditating. When you're deep in meditation, which meant deep in prayer. They never used it as the type of, it's so interesting the things that they get finicky about, but like what we think of as meditation now of like clearing the mind, concentrating on your breathing, just being in the moment. to them, it was like, well, you don't want to clear your mind because then you're opening it to spirits. But really, when you think about it, meditation, prayer, whatever you want to call it, really is just being in this moment and focusing on, I guess, just like whatever you're putting into the universe and whatever you're wanting to receive back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even just having like morning gratitude, I feel like could fall into that category.
Absolutely.
I love that you said that. That's actually a cool thought for me as far as like, maybe I do still pray. It's just looks a little bit different.
Yeah, it's just an expression of gratitude, in my opinion.
I love that. So tell me about how you met. So here you are now. Mm-hmm. Tell me about how you met Haleigh.
Oh, Haleigh.
I love her.
I do too. So in full disclosure, Haleigh was one of my very first breast augmentations in my practice in 2018. That said, despite what Reddit will tell you,
oh, Reddit.
I do not date my patients.
Especially now that you're married.
Especially now that I'm married, and not even when I was not married. No, that's officially where we met, but that was where it stopped. I mean, I did a breast augmentation for her, and I think about a year later, we fixed her deviated septum. She was always with a long-term partner, and I had a girlfriend at the time as well. I knew who she was. Like most of my patients, find me on Instagram, and so I will follow a lot of my patients on Instagram and vice versa. That's been a massive tool in my marketing.
Yeah.
But there was never, like, we're not communicating, in DMs or talking to each other. There was never any weird thing that was there. Like there was like never even a flirtation.
Yeah.
But I followed her. And so I knew who this person was. I knew she sang in a rock band, and I knew I'd done her breasts and I had fixed her deviated septum.
Yeah.
And about 3 years ago, I went through a difficult breakup and was in a really tough spot in life. Was very kind of my lowest point in life, really, at that point. I was divorced. It was the second relationship that hadn't worked. I had lived with her for 3 years. My kids were struggling. They were not happy. And they were upset that dad had, basically putting him through a third divorce now. Mm-hmm. And I was miserable. And that was the moment that I really chose to start focusing on me for the first time ever.
Nice.
And that was probably a few months before I joined Watt and started just making some massive changes in my life.
Yeah.
And after about 3-4 months after that breakup, I remember sitting at my mom's house and scrolling Instagram, and I see a green close friends story from Haleigh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this girl putting me in her like close friends category for? This is not normal. This is out of the blue. And I click it, and it's just a picture of her, or a video of her dog running around in the backyard. And it says, well, somebody's happy to be moved back home. And I immediately know this girl's single, and she wants every man in her phone to know she is now single.
And ready to mingle.
And so I just did the very natural thing and reached out and said, where's home? And where'd you move to? And she says, oh, I just moved back to Riverton with my parents. I actually just went through a breakup recently. And I'm just like, oh, you don't say. And from there, we developed this really beautiful friendship, actually. I was really still focusing on me. I had made commitments to lots of friends that I wasn't going to really date anybody. Yeah. And I had been on some dates. And so we just kind of became friends. We started talking a lot. We went on a first date, and I kind of gave her this little side hug goodbye, and she was like, well, I'm having no sex summer. And I'm like, all right, great. That's
cool. Same page.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. And it was perfect, because that became the foundation of our relationship, was this friendship. And even when we started dating, it was funny because a couple months into it, I went to my friend Mark and I just said, dude, I really like this girl. One of the things I'm really struggling with is like the sex is not that great. And I'm like, this might be a deal breaker for me. And he's like, oh yeah, I don't know, man. Like that's something you want to like really probably lock down. Be good,
yeah.
And I actually one night just told her like this concern. I was like, I really like you. I love this friendship that we have, but I just feel like this piece of us could be way better. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, thank God. You feel this too? I was like, yes. She's like, well, me too. Let's fix it.
I love that.
And it just like that is Haleigh and I. Haleigh and I work our ass off for this relationship.
Mm-hmm. It shows.
And we both met each other at similar phases of life. We both met each other at similar levels of healthy, like after we had been through difficult relationships and had finally decided to focus and heal ourselves.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do that I talk about a lot is called TEAM. TEAM is an acronym for touch, education, appreciation, and metric. Cody Sanchez, I think, talked about it first. That's where I learned it.
Okay.
And the idea is you're going to have a close conversation with your partner. It can take 10 minutes, it can take 30 minutes, like whatever it is, but you're going to have a good connected conversation with them. So to do it, you touch them, like you can be touching thighs, butts, whatever. And then you each say something that you learned that day. That's the education. And then you each tell the other person something you appreciate about them. And that's the appreciation. And then the metric is really to bring up any part of the relationship that you feel like you want to discuss. Mm-hmm. And you've now set the tone to where you can get to the metric and be like, okay, I'm touching you. I've told you something I've learned today. I've told you something I appreciate about you. Here is something that's bothering me. Mm-hmm. Or here's something I'm struggling with in our relationship. Sometimes it's just like, hey, we're really freaking great and I just love you.
Yeah.
But it allows you to set a container for a conversation that's now not going to be reactive. Mm-hmm. And you can actually really work through some things.
Because you've like let down the heart walls a little bit.
And also it's like sometimes we just really learn more about each other when we're like, what'd you learn today? And I'm like, holy crap, you're getting into some stuff today. Or you really find something new about that person that you appreciate that you haven't told them before.
Yeah.
And the very first time I had heard this, I went to her and I said, hey, let's do this. And she's like, yeah, that sounds really cool. So we did it. And a couple days goes by and we happen to be on a vacation in Cabo and we're walking on the beach and she goes, hey, we haven't done that team thing that we were going to do. And I said, oh yeah, we'll get to it. Like it's, doesn't have to be a, regular thing. And she stopped in her tracks and she's like, that is not the kind of relationship this is. Mm. We do not say things that we're going to do and then just wishy-wash them away.
Yeah.
Like either you're in this and we're committed to the things we say we're going to do or we're not.
Oof.
And it was such a I was just like, oh my God, I love this woman so much. But it has set the tone for our relationship where like we don't waffle on the things that we say we're going to do.
I love that.
Both of us, I think, live a life of integrity, but we also, our relationship is one of integrity.
Well, and what's really cool about it, I have been thinking this the whole time you've been telling this story of you two, is like you started out knowing that you were both working on yourselves. Mm-hmm. And then in the beginning of the relationship, you had this like brutal honesty about a topic that some people don't talk about for years into a relationship. Like they just think it'll figure itself out, which is huge. Like to set that cornerstone of a relationship to just be like, okay, here's the unknowingly, this is our standard. Mm-hmm. But then how she called you out on that of like, no, this is what our relationship is like. Mm-hmm. I just think it's so beautiful because it sets the tone for your guys' relationship, the expectation or the standard, I guess you could say. But then it also just shows like how the quality of friendship, not just your relationship, but really any relationship, because then that sets the tone or the standard for all of those relationships too, of like, I know that when I'm talking to Haleigh, it's going to be this committed, like she's serious. She's not going to say something and then not do it.
Yeah.
Which how many times do we do that of like run into a friend like, yeah, we should get together for lunch sometime. And then it never happens. But it's so beautiful when you meet somebody. It's sad to say that that's refreshing, but it is refreshing when you meet somebody who actually follows through on, I want to do this with you and does it.
Yeah.
That's
and
so cool.
We work at it hard and we talk about it a lot, but I think that's part of us working on it. Like talking about it is one of the ways that we really work on it.
And I think it's helpful too, because it's like, I can't tell you how many times I've set a goal for myself and I'll let it fall to the wayside of like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it another time. A week goes by. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'll pick it up later. But then to have somebody, especially your partner, call you out and be like, you said that this was your goal.
Yeah.
What can I do to help you reach that?
Yeah.
Hey, remember that's your goal.
It's big. And there are things that I struggle with that I do that with, right? Where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be better at this. I'm going to be better at this. And she is my person who reminds me and helps me.
I love that.
But
Well, and I think too, I've met so many people, and I've done this myself too, where sometimes Ben will call me out on something and I get defensive. And of course, that's because I'm already sensitive about it. It has nothing to do with him calling me out.
Yeah.
It's all about like, oh, I'm already sensitive about that. I already feel guilty. And so to have someone put that in front of me just makes me feel defensive. But I think it's really cool when you reach a space where somebody can call you out and you can take it as this person loves me.
Yeah.
They're not trying to make me feel terrible about me not reaching this goal.
100%.
Yeah. That's so cool. I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
It was there and then it wasn't. Okay, so one question I do want to ask, and I kind of gave you
Ooh, a little
bit
teaser.
of time. Yeah. What is something that you've learned, or that a quote or a phrase that has helped you that you'd like to share that may help somebody else who's gone through similar things?
You want me to give you my usual?
I love it. If you have something else, you can say that too. But
No, I'll give you my spiel. This is what I'm trying to be known for, I guess.
it's my favorite.
So Haleigh has a lot of tattoos, which is one of the things I love about her the most.
Great.
And she like fulfills that little like junior high fantasy of like the skater girl with the tattoos or the gothic girl with the tattoos. I don't know.
The rock band.
Yes. And I have always loved tattoos, but just for me personally, I wanted any tattoo I got to be wildly significant. It needed to have deep, significant meaning for me, or else I just didn't feel like it was going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really anything in my life that just flashed like, this is it. This is the meaningful thing for a long time. And if you go back to that relationship I got out of a few years ago, it was really, really dark for me for a while. And it took some really good, close friends to pull me out of that. And it took me to like choose me like for the first time.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, his name's Dan Simpson. He, for a month after this breakup happened, would call me every day. He would ask me if is it good to be Nick? And I'd be like, oh, Dan, no, you know what? Today kind of sucks. Not good to be Nick. And he wouldn't hang up the phone until he had convinced me that it was good to be me.
Yeah.
Like I'd be operating and he'd call the nurses and they'd answer and be like, tell him his hair looks good today. And as I went through that and I kind of was finding me again and becoming happy again and finding joy, I realized that was a very powerful moment for me and a powerful thing in my life. And I told Haleigh about it, and I told her this idea. I said, I think I want to get this tattooed. Yeah. And she's like, oh, that'd be awesome. But I think she also knew that I didn't know what the hell I was doing when it came to getting a tattoo. And so we took a trip to Newport Beach together early in our relationship. And it was a work trip for me, but I was like, come along, baby. This is like, I've got some meetings during the day, but we will tear up Newport Beach at night. Let's go.
Love it.
And so we're at this, on this little weekend getaway. And she says, hey, I set up a tattoo session for you. Tomorrow night, you're going to get your first tattoo. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, I'm going to get one too. It'd be great. I said, okay. And so I texted my buddy Dan and I said, Dan, I need your signature. And this is the kind of person Dan is, right? 0 questions. He texts me his signature
like, what are you trying to
within
forge?
2 minutes. Not even a question.
That's so awesome.
And I don't respond. I take it like directly to the tattoo artist. And about an hour later, Dan finally texts. He's like, hey, did I lose my identity? Did you buy a house? What's going on? And so I ended up getting a tattoo with in quotations that just says, it's good to be Nick. And then signed Dan Simpson. And I'm telling the tattoo artist this story, like as he's halfway through this tattoo. And he goes, oh, thank God. This is like, I'm glad you told me that story. This is the douchiest tattoo I've ever put on anybody.
Oh my gosh. She's like, this guy's ego.
And it has nothing to do with ego. And it's become a representation for the way that I think everybody should live their life. Is you should wake up and think it's good to be me. You should wake up every day and say, it's good to be Amber, because there's only you. And when you can find that joy in being you and realizing that that's the only thing that matters and that's the only thing you need, that you're enough, to choose another cliche.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best joy in the world. My brother Alex, about 6 months ago, took me to lunch and he said, dude, I'm just really glad to see you so happy. Like, you got like joy just like radiating off of you. I said, no, thanks, man. That means the world. And he says, yeah, I'm so happy you found somebody like Haleigh who makes you this happy. And I said, oh, hold on, buddy. Hold the phone. Haleigh's great. Don't get me wrong. Rock star, goddess, soulmate, all those things.
Yeah.
Haleigh doesn't have shit to do with this. This is me. And if Haleigh were gone tomorrow, I would still be happy because I would still have me, because it's still good to be Nick. And that's what the tattoo means. And that is really my message for people, is that's what you have to find. And it's a mission that you're going to have to go on your own. There are people who will help you along the way. There are people who will be there for you, but it is a self-discovery process that you have to do. And it's work.
Yeah.
It's work. It's journaling. It's every day. It's the I love yous in the mirror. It's being a person of an integrity and doing what the hell you say you're going to do. And you will get there. And that's the best thing I can tell people.
I love that so much. I was hoping that's what you would pick. You recently spoke. So I've mentioned this on my podcast a ton of times, of being part of Gentle Warrior.
Yeah.
And when you spoke, it was kind of funny because like you were kind of jumping around a little bit, and I was like, oh, that's a great story. Oh, that's a great story. And I'm like I liked all the little tidbits, but I was waiting for like how you were going to tie it together. And you said that at the end, and I got like full body chills of like, dude, this one phrase of like, it's just good to be Amber. And it kind of reminded me of when I was little, I hated my name. Like, nobody's named Amber. Ugh, what a weird Amber. What a weird name. And I wanted my name to be Autumn, or I wanted my name to be Crystal or something, you know.
Stripper names.
Oh, of course, yeah. At the tender age of 4, I knew my destiny. But it was funny because one day I remember sitting in the car and just saying my name on repeat, just whispering it to myself, Amber, 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 Amber. And you know how you say a word so many times that it just doesn't feel like it's a real word? And I said it so many times that then it was just like I was focusing on the sounds of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to a point where I was like, my name's really cool. It actually sounds really cool. And I loved my name. And from then on, I've just been like, it sounds egotistical, but I'm like, I love my name. I want someone to name their kid after me. This is a life goal. So if you know anybody, Amber's a great name. It's classic. But when you said that, it just made me think of that, of like the work you put in, the effort that you put in to appreciate even just the sounds to the point where it may look weird, it may sound weird, but you're appreciating every little detail. And that means that you may go through phases where you don't like yourself, but then you get to shift things to become the person that you do like.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was just you saying that was so big, and I just loved that phrase. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared it. Well, I think this is probably the first time that I've ever ended right on time.
Dude, you crushed it.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this, especially like willing to work it out last minute. It worked out perfect.
We made it work. We're going to have to get you on mine.
Deal.
I need you on there.
Sounds great.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Amber.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. If you liked what you heard, please remember to subscribe and go leave a review on Apple Podcast. It helps me know what you want to hear and who I should have as a guest next. Thanks again, and until next time, keep living the life of a lotus.